Good day and welcome to The State. On the show, we probe the issues and dig the solutions. We do a detailed analysis of that particular subject that has got the nation talking. Once again, we are glad you could join us. Thank you for choosing us. My name is 𝗟𝗓𝗘 𝗟𝗓𝗙. Stay for details.
Oh yes, the solution to all your travel needs is here. 𝗟𝗓𝗙 Lodge and Travel Services offers you the opportunity to travel to the following countries: Canada, United States of America, Turkey, Dubai, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Malta, Germany, and other European countries, where skilled workers such as nurses, paramedics, nannies and caregivers, drivers, plumbers, masons, electricians, carpenters, painters, etc. are needed for urgent employment. 𝗟𝗓𝗙 Lodge and Travel Services can secure your Schengen visas with work permits. Individuals, organizations, churches, schools can contact us for their ticketing and hotel reservation, car rental services, international tour packages, travel consultation, visa assistance, and study abroad packages to all countries. We are located at Mr. Bates bus stop opposite the Calvary Baptist Church at Abaka, Accra, or contact us on these numbers: 0544-279525 or 0545-622-672 or 0302-237557. 𝗟𝗓𝗙 Lodge and Travel Services, your destination, our pride.
Welcome back, and this is the W Brief segment. And on W Briefs, what we do is to give you an executive summary, a sneak peek into the topic for discussion for the day. What is the conversation about today? So, updates from the Bank of Ghana on May 14, 2025 shows that Ghana's legal tender, the cedi, continues its upward spiral against major trading currencies. Depending on where you get it, it is doing between 12 cedis, 50 to 90 pesos, or 13 cedis. The cedi continues to show upward spiral, but the Ghana cedi's appreciation has undeniably transformed the country's economic framework. In a long while, this hasn't happened. So the framework of the economy has transformed during this period. The strength of the cedi has been attributed to factors. And some of these factors include the U.S. trade wars. So the ongoing trade wars in the United States of America has led to a decline in the value of the U.S. dollar. And this has strengthened the Ghanaian cedi. So the ongoing U.S. trade wars, it's a factor. Again, the dollar injection. So the Ghanaian government's injection of dollar into the economy has helped increase the supply of foreign exchange in the system. And that has strengthened the cedi. That has strengthened the cedi. Also, Ghana's build-up of foreign reserves, especially gold reserves. So we've done building up of our reserves, the gold reserve, and it has contributed largely to the cedi's appreciation. So this informs us that this is why the cedi keeps soaring. And that is why we are having a better time of our economy or as a people. But the immediate effect of these factors, the U.S. trade wars, the reserves that we have built up, the dollar injection, in effect, what I'm saying is that the appreciation of the cedi will have immediate effects on commercial dynamics because it is substantial, and this calls for detailed examination. We need to look at it in the short term and the long term. Many Ghanaians naturally expect that once the cedi is doing very well, then prices of goods should reduce. It should drop so that the ordinary Ghanaian can breathe a sigh of relief. That is natural expectation, and we don't fault the ordinary Ghanaian. So ordinary Ghanaian expect that the cedi should drop. The prices of goods should drop. This is the expectation of Ghanaians largely on the market. Cedi is doing well, reduce the prices for us to continue to enjoy, but it's not having its total effect as we have it. But there have been loud calls on government and GUTA, Ghana Union of Traders Association, to intervene, that they should intervene. But the Minister of Trade, Industry and Agribusiness, Mrs. 𝗟𝗜𝗘𝗓 Elizabeth, is saying that government is limited in this space. Government cannot push traders to reduce the prices. That is the Minister of Trade for us. The minister explains that in a system where Ghana operates the liberal market economy, government has no power, because the economy determines its production, it determines how it fixes its prices, and also government does not fix prices. So those who are calling for government to regulate price, government cannot do that because it is a liberal economy. The sector minister, however, says she remains optimistic and says that there should be room for fairness. If prices go, if the cedi or the currency goes up, why don't you reduce that? Because anytime there is depreciation, prices are increased. So if it is appreciated, it is fair that we reduce prices. That is what the minister is saying. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has called on traders to adjust the prices so that it responds to the current economic situations or the appreciation of the cedi. So GUTA, that regulates traders, is also calling for that. But some traders have argued that as at the time they purchased their goods, the exchange rate was higher. So these are not new stocks that they have in their warehouses or in their shops. So if you are calling on them to reduce the price, the old price, just before we got on there, the news has it that the minister has met traders and they have agreed on a 60-day ultimatum that if prices keep appreciating, if the cedi keeps appreciating, they will reduce their prices. But considering the current strength of the cedi, how the cedi is appreciating, we are asking that what is the implication of the appreciation of the cedi on the economy or on the ordinary Ghanaian consumer? If it is appreciating, what is its implication on the ordinary Ghanaian consumer? I'll be back with my guest. Stay. Back. So this is the state. The state today, we are looking at the cedi, how the cedi is appreciating. It's been a long while since we experienced such, should I say, economic dynamics in the country. So Ghanaians are excited. Of course, the cedi is performing well against major trading currencies. We are looking at it, the cedi's appreciation, and we are asking and assessing its impact, its implication on the ordinary Ghanaian consumer. So what is in it? If it is appreciating, what is in it for the ordinary consumer? You don't want to move away from your set because you're going to understand all that is happening on the market so far as the cedi is concerned. Is currency fluctuation and inflation. What is the relationship with this and how does it affect you when you go to the market? You wouldn't want to move away, stay glued. And as usual, we have guests to help us understand and appreciate the national discourse. They are vexed in this area and on the subject matter. They join us via Zoom. We have Dr. Paul 𝗟𝗜𝗘𝗓𝗘, who is a lecturer of economics at the Pentecost University. He will help us. That's his area. Economics is his field. He will help us to understand and appreciate the conversation. Doc, thank you for coming on the stage. So also an economist and a senior lecturer of economics at the University of Mines and Technology all the way in Takwa. He's been on the show a couple of times to help us understand economics. Dr. Kofi Kamasa. Doc, thank you very much for coming on the show. We are glad to have you. So we have the economists. The economists. They're going to help us understand and appreciate the issue. If the city is appreciating the net for the ordinary consumer. These are issues that should concern us. These are issues that we should be very much interested in, because we go to the market, we go to make purchases. So the purchasing power has effect on our day-to-day interactions with our environment and the economy. So it is an interesting topic. We have the guests to help us understand and appreciate. Dr. Kamasa, if you could hear me, welcome to the state. Doc, if you could unmute so that viewers can hear you. Hello, Doc. Dr. Kofi Kamasa, if you could unmute, yes, so that viewers can hear you. We will work the lines to get our guests to help us appreciate the conversation. So we are working on the line. Do we have Dr. Joseph Obin? Dr. Joseph Obin is the president of GUTA, Ghana Union of Traders Association. Doc, thank you for joining us on the state.
Thank you so much, sir.
Wow, Ghana is excited, at least you who speak for all traders, that they've made calls on you to let the traders intervene.
Please, I can barely hear you.
Is that okay? Hello, Doc, is that okay? Can you hear me now?
If you can speak louder or you tighten your machines, yeah.
Okay. Doc, can you hear me now? Hello, Dr.
Yeah.
Joseph Obin. Okay. So we are glad to have you join us on the state. And Ghanaians have been calling on you particularly to come in, because we are experiencing something we haven't experienced in a while.
Yeah, please, you have to make your line.
Very well, very well. Doc is struggling to hear us from the studio. We'll work the lines and then get back to Doc, so that he.
Okay, thank you. But please fix the line well for me.
So that we're able to hear you clearly. And
okay.
Yes, so we'll work the lines and then get you clearly. Doc is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. GUTA has also called on its members to adjust the prices of goods, since the city is appreciating, so that it responds to the appreciation. So indeed is an interested stakeholder, interested party, and hearing from him today might give the ordinary Ghanaian a hope or assurance. Doc, I hope you can hear us better and clearer now. Network challenges. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Under the distinguished patronage of our founding churches, the Methodist, Presbyterian, Anglican, Evangelical Presbyterian, the 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘, and other affiliate churches of Ghana, the Boys and Girls Brigade Councils of Ghana present the Brigades Hour. Hallelujah! A stimulating and instructive hour-long, made-for-you TV magazine extravaganza featuring lively archival recap of the history of the Boys and Girls Brigades as international and domestic ecumenical, non-denominational, regimented Christian organizations. Join us on the extensive journey of discovery of the 4 core pillars of all our programs: the physicality of our camping, expedition, and drills, the spiritually uplifting praise worship, and intensive Bible study for all our boys and girls in our company meetings. Highly educational content of our artificial intelligence and robotic contact sessions for all our boys and girls, and our extensive basic and command courses for all our officers. As for the social fit and balance, we rely on recreation, sports, and our youth parliament. Take a cozy front seat and soak in our captivating segments: district, regional, and national reports, denominational reports, international briefs, and the frills and thrills, Brigade Thrills. Be interactive with us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and win excellent prizes on our monthly GB and BB quiz as you join us on phone. It's the Brigade Hour, showing live on WTV and PCGTV on Wednesdays at these exclusive times. GB, seek, serve, follow Christ. BB, sure and steadfast. Brigades Hour. Oh, you dozen, Toffee.
Welcome back. On the stage today, we are looking at the appreciation of the cedi, or you can say cedi's appreciation. And we are looking at its corresponding effect on prices and goods to the ordinary Ghanaian. We joined via phone by Dr. 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘. He is a lecturer of economics at the Pentecost University. He's joining us via phone. Doc, thank you very much for joining us on the stage. Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc. Definitely we will understand why the cedi is appreciating and why prices of goods and services must come down so that the ordinary consumer heaves a sigh of relief. We will continue to work the line till we have our guests connect from wherever they are so that our viewers can appreciate the conversation and the national discourse. Just before coming on air, the wires have it that the Minister of Trade, Industry and Agribusiness has had a meeting, fruitful meeting with the traders, and a decision has been made, a compromise also of a sort, where we are looking at what a 60 days ultimatum, 2 months, that if the cedi keeps doing well, performing its magic, then definitely they will gradually reduce the prices of goods and services. That's a piece of good news there for the ordinary consumer. This is what we are hoping to get our guests to help us flesh out so that we can all understand, so that when we go on the market, we know that this is the situation on the ground. This is the situation on the ground, and this is why prices must come down. Guta at a point in time called on its members. For some days we didn't hear anything. When I say we, I mean the consumer, you and I, who go to the market. Hello? To work on. Yes, hello, Dr. Paul. Hello, doctor.
Hello, Gabriel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Is that Dr. Paul 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘?
Please, yes, Dr.
Wonderful. We are glad the lines responded favorably at long last. So, Doc, we are glad to have you. First off, Doc, let me ask you, what is happening to the Ghanaian cedi?
Yeah, Gabriel, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Doc.
For the past 3 weeks, we have had the cedi appreciating against the dollar, and not just the dollar. It has also appreciated against the euro, even the pound sterling. And if you check the percentages, it has even appreciated much more to the euro even than the dollar. Analysts have been asking questions as to why the cedi is appreciating. Exactly. I don't know if you want us to go into that discussion,
but please.
In sum, the cedi has been appreciating against all major currencies.
And rightly so. What could be the enabling factors that has made us witness this?
Okay. In terms of the factors, some have attributed it to the U.S.-China tariff war, but the fact is that it cannot be solely attributed to the U.S.-China tariff war. There are other underlying factors, even though I accept the fact that there are also external factors. Even BRICS deciding to ditch the dollar in favor of their own respective currencies in their international trade is also a factor. These factors have reduced the demand for the dollar on the global market, which, all things being equal, has led to the dollar losing some value. But we can also say that the Naira has been depreciating while the cedi is appreciating. Just about 3 days, the Naira depreciated to about 1,600 Naira to a dollar. And so what that means is that there are other factors accounting for the recent rebound of the cedi. And one of the key factors is the increased gold reserves of the central bank as a result of the gold purchasing agreement that was adopted by the central bank from September 2023. Prior to September 2023, when we started the gold purchasing program, the total gold reserves of the central bank was 8 tons. But by the time the previous government was exiting in December 2024, they had increased our gold reserves to 30.5 tons. Since the new government took over on 7th January 2025, our gold reserves have increased marginally to just about 31.3 tons. What that means is that all the gold that they have been buying since they took over, a lot of it has been sold on the international market for forex. And as we heard from a recent report by the Gold Board, in the first quarter of 2025 alone, total forex from gold sales amounted to $2.7 billion. Now, with this money, what that means is that the Bank of Ghana now has access to forex to be able to show up the value of the cedi on the currency market. And so whenever demand for the dollar is surging, they just supply some forex on the market to be able to balance it off. And it's as if we are even having a case where there is even more demand for the cedi relative to the dollar, right? So the demand for the dollar is rather falling, which is also putting pressure on the dollar and leading to the gain in the cedi. You can also lose sight of the confidence in the managers of the economy in terms of the fiscal side, the Minister of Finance, the ministry, and the government in general. In the 2025 budget, the minister made it clear that the government is embarking on a restrictionary fiscal policy. That is, the government intends to embark on expenditure cuts. And if you look at the planned expenditure for 2025, for the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic, we have a situation where the planned expenditure for 2025 is lower than. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
The planned expenditure for 2025 is lower than that of 2024. It has never happened in the history of the Fourth Republic. In 2024, the total government expenditure was 279 billion Ghana cedis. But the planned expenditure for 2025 is 269 billion. What that means is that the government has programmed to cut expenditure by 10 billion. And then if you look at the fiscal deficit on commitment basis, it was 7.9% in 2024. It is planned to or programmed to reduce to 3.1%. So the government is embarking on expenditure rationalization, cutting expenditure, and making sure that there is prudent spending, there is value for money in government expenditure. So that has also led to some confidence in the economy. So people believe that with the cutting of expenditures, with the rationalization of expenditures, the government will be able to better manage the economy. And so those that were rather saving in dollars are beginning to take the dollar even in favor of cedi-denominated assets, because the assumption is that going forward, the cedi will be relatively stable compared to the dollar. And so it makes sense saving in cedi. If you also look at the monetary side, the Bank of Ghana in its recent monetary policy committee meeting, It was expected
Hello,
that the
Doc.
monetary policy rate will be reduced from 27% downward because inflation trends were coming down. But the Bank of Ghana rather took a precautionary stand to increase the monetary policy rate to 28% in order to mop up any case of excess liquidity, CD liquidity in the system. So all these factors, I think, have accounted for the recent rebound in the value of the CD. So one cannot take credit away from the government. I think the government is getting something right. The government is doing something good.
Very well.
It must be encouraged.
Very well. Yes, thank you. We will take the thought of the president of 𝗟𝗓𝗘, who's joined us, Dr. Joseph Obin. Dr. Obin, if you can hear me, your initial comments on, you are a businessman, from the business leader's perspective, what is happening to the CD and how are you receiving the news?
Yeah, we are very happy to the extent that if we say that the CD is losing its value, all that it means is that we are losing our capital. So whenever you hear that the CD is appreciating in value, it means that our capital is going up. It's as simple as that. And so this is a very welcome news for us. And we will be able to recoup some of our losses during the past couple of years, and so also to share some of the gains to the consuming public. But the business that we're doing, we do not do it in isolation. We do it with the consuming public, and those are the people we call our customers. So if the customer is challenged in terms of high prices, it means that they are unable to patronize our wares. Businesses thrive on turnover, and so it is important that we share these gains with them. Even though we have some challenge, and the challenge being that people are, as of now, doubtful about the sustainability of these gains that we have. So we have always give a pinch to government that they should be open to adopt the measures that they have adopted already, and make sure that we are able to sustain these gains. And then also, people are also challenged the fact that they have old stocks that they bought under the when the dollar or the forex was very high. And then also we have the retailers who have nothing to do with the dollar transaction. They depend on importers to buy their goods. Those are the people who are going to find it difficult to transfer any gain unless they are able to sell significant portions of their stocks, and then when they replenish with the new goods with new prices, then they are also able to join. So this is essentially what is going on in the market. Generally, importers have started having the benefit, and they are already reducing their prices, especially those who have gotten the gain, who have gotten the benefit of the gain.
Doc, very well. Thanks for the explanation. But I want you to help the ordinary consumer. You call the consumer. You said they are your customers. The ordinary customer, to understand the logic behind the difficulty in reducing prices of goods that you have already bought. It's already stocked in your shops. Nothing has happened to it. So if prices has dropped, what is the difficulty in reducing it?
Yeah, as I've told you, for the importers, they have direct benefit because they do the transaction with the forest. And so most of them might have gotten the benefit. They might have transacted in the new rates, and that they can be able to transfer. I'm telling you, the market is responding to it because we are in a competitive market, and no one will want to overprice himself out of the market. But at the same time, there are people who also have a genuine problem of the old stock, and that they haven't even also transacted in the new rates, which also put them in difficulty. And so this is what will be happening. But then the key word here is sustainability and predictability. If we are able to sustain these gains, if government adopt the same measures, Bank of Ghana adopt the same measures that have brought us this far, and then sustain it and to have a reasonable time for stability, then of course we'll all have the full benefit of same. Meeting the minister today, we all agreed that probably if we're able to sustain within 2 months, we should have the full impact of this benefit that we're talking about.
Doc, so that let's say it's a 60-day ultimatum that if things go well, so does it mean that Ghanaians should start expecting price drops from now, or should start expecting after 60 days?
No. I told you, it has started reflecting. Where people, some traders have started responding positively and selling at the new rates. And then others will be telling do, but that's why we came out to appeal to them and educate on them. You know, we don't have any right to impose any price on anybody. We are not in a price control regime. But then our advice to them was to find a way to calculate and then strike reasonable average between the old price and the new price that they are getting, some in between, and then they will still be competitive, and then they pass on this benefit to their customers.
Thank you. Very well. Dr. Paul, let me come to you quickly and then find out from you. You know, the Ghanaian economy is largely dependent on foreign goods or imported goods. That is how we meet our domestic needs. So if importers are more or less benefiting from the appreciation of the cedi, what is the competitiveness of those who are in the export brackets?
Yeah, thank you, Gabriel. I think as importers are benefiting because at the exchange they have to render less cedis than before for dollar, exporters rather may lose out, because previously when you earned a unit of $1, you were getting 16 cedis at the exchange for cedi. And so with the cedi gaining ground against the dollar, what that means is that exporters may lose, because you were getting 15 or 16, now you'll probably be getting 13. It has even dropped. The interbank transfer rate has even dropped to, I think, around 12.7 now. So what that means is that the margins for exporters is coming down over time. And if the gains are sustained, if as the central bank governor has predicted that by close of the year we are looking at something around 12, 11. If that happens, what that means is that the margins of exporters will be eroded, and that will make exports relatively less attractive. And so some analysts have argued that that may compel some people to rather shift away from export-oriented industries to rather imports, because the margin for importers is rather going up now that they are refusing to even adjust price downwards. What that means is that they are retaining a lot of the benefits of the margin for themselves, and that makes imports rather attractive relative to exports. And so there has been calls on the governor of the central bank and managers of the economy in general to make sure that we are able to maintain stability and not rather focus on continuous appreciation of the cedi, because that may also have adverse impacts on the business of exporters in exports, which may discourage exports going forward.
Very well. You touched on the governor of the Bank of Ghana, and that leads me to economic policy. What role has Bank of Ghana in ensuring that we sustain these gains?
Okay, the Bank of Ghana has a mandate to maintain the value of the cedi. You know, since 2002, when we adopted the inflation targeting regime, the core task of the central bank is to set an inflation target at the beginning of every year and use its monetary policy tools, the monetary policy rates, open market operations, and other tools to be able to achieve the targeted rate of inflation, and then also to make sure that the value of the cedi is maintained. In any case, as you work towards reducing inflation or achieving macroeconomic stability, what you are doing is to maintain the value of the cedi. So the central bank has a key mandate, and what they are expected to do is to make sure that whenever there is excess liquidity in the system, when there is excess supply of the cedi in the system, they apply their monetary policy tools to be able to mop up any case of excess liquidity. Because once you have a lot of the cedi out there, with the Ghana economy being 70% import dependent, the cedi out there will go into buying dollars to import. And when that happens, you have the cedi flood the exchange rate market. And once you have a lot of the cedi, as the layman would say, more cedi chasing fewer dollars, then the cedi is at the mercy of the dollar. And that is how come over the years we have had excess depreciation in the cedi. So the core mandate of the central bank is to mop up any case of excess liquidity, and I think that is exactly what they are doing, raising the monetary policy rate from 27% to 28% at the last monetary policy meeting, selling government securities to mop up any case of excess liquidity. And now with the increase in our gold reserves, they are also able to sell the gold whenever the pressure on the cedi, sell the gold and use the forex to shore up the cedi, supply the dollar on the market to meet demand so that there is no pressure on the cedi. I think that's exactly what the central bank has been doing. And if they keep up with what they have done so far, I think we are going to see a cedi that is performing, a cedi that is strong, and as Bloomberg has predicted recently, a cedi that is the strongest currency in the global market now. And going forward, we may have a very stable cedi if they sustain the recent efforts.
Very well. Dr. Joseph Obeng, Doc, let me ask you. Local manufacturers will struggle with cheap imports, right?
You said local manufacturers have done what? They
will struggle with cheap imports. You know, as we have them coming, the manufacturers locally are going to struggle.
It's very unfortunate. Our economists don't think they are practical. I think what they learned, the theory, has not helped the country at all. So for somebody to say that export will become unattractive is neither here nor there. That manufacturing is going to suffer is neither here nor there. Let me tell you, the manufacturing that we do here, about 90% of the input of manufacturing is imported. How is it therefore the drop of the exchange or the forest going to affect them, their operations? The operation cost is going to go down, and it's very important to know that we are in a very competitive market, global market, and that the output of your industry should tend to be cheaper and competitive so that you can sell. That's why we are not faring well in the scheme of affairs of the Continental Free Trade Area. See, we are lagging behind because our products are very expensive due to the SN rate that was very high. And now you have the opportunity, it's coming down, and you see all manner of economics go around and say that it's not going to benefit exporters or manufacturers. What kind economics is that? You see, we have to take advantage of the downward trend of the dollar, which is going to push inflation down. It is also going to push interest rate down. This is what is going to trickle these indicators down for us to get the enabling environment that we always talk about, so that we can produce. We have to enhance on productivity. We have to take advantage of this to enhance on our productivity, and the produce that comes out should be competitive enough that we should be able to export it to get more revenue for the state. This is economics, and this is practical. So what you are talking about, I don't understand. So if you're an exporter and your operational cost is very high as a result of the forest, the rate of the forest, interest rate and all that, and then your produce is very high, how are you going to sell into the market, especially at this time that they are increasing tariffs? You can make do when the dollar has come down, your price has come cheaper, and then when you go and pay additional tariff somewhere, you are still competitive. And listen to what our economists are saying. And this is why most governments have failed in the past. And I don't want this government to fall prey to this. Because what is going to happen is that they will say that the city have become so strong, and then it has made export become, and then they will tell government that when the exchange rate go up, your export proceed will go high, and you get money to pay workers and all that. What kind of economics is this? And so, let's not buy this. Let's take advantage of these gains and use it as a catalyst of growth. Let's take it and grow and be productive.
Very well.
So the point here, I've heard it on several quarters over the years, and I'm fed up with those things. It means that we don't know what we are talking about. And I'm sorry, I can't pretend to be an economist. I'm a common trader. I'm talking about practicalities. I've traveled over the world, and I know what global business is. It's all about competitiveness. It's not that your operational cost should be high and that your produce is very high and you can't even sell to Togo. You can't even sell to Nigeria. And you think that that is what is helping us.
Doc, last one before I go to the economists. I love the bit that you say you are a trader. So let me do that before I talk to the economists. Doc, the argument too is that there needs to be diversification of the economy. You should look at more of the non-traditional exports of produce that we make, more agric than the traditional ones. Do you buy into that thinking?
I'm sure. Hello.
Yeah, Doc.
And so you see, the downward trend of the dollar, the gains that we are getting and all that have generated a positive speculation. And so it's very important that we are able to maintain that. Positive speculation to the extent that now people are not thinking that they have to buy dollar as a store of value. And then when we say that the dollar has become so strong and then we have to weaken it, and most times they deliberately weaken it. And then when they do that, is a false negative speculation that the dollar is going up. People buy it as a store of value, and then we find ourselves the way that we find ourselves that have crippled everything. So we should know the importance of the stable currency, a currency that have strength, a strong currency, and what it does for the economy. If we are able to go the same way we are going, then we are on the threshold of full recovery for the nation, and nobody should bring any huhudious economics and all that to spoil the party for us.
Very well.
Thank you.
Very well. Doc, just hang on. Let me switch to Dr. Paul Appiah-Konadu. Doc, you are the economist. You heard the trader on the ground saying that the economists, your theories and what is on the ground don't. Well, I'll ask you a substantive question, but you have any reaction to Doc's position? Guta's president's position.
Yes, I get the line of argument of Dr. Joseph Corbin, but I think it depends on what our importers are importing. If we are importing machinery, then with the city appreciating, what that means is that we can import machinery intermediate products at relatively lower costs to increase local production. But here is the case where we are importing finished products. Let's look at the poultry industry, for instance. We are spending about $400 million to import frozen chicken. Now, a kilo of a chicken for the frozen chicken is selling for about 30 Ghana cedis. How much is the local farmer selling a chicken? They cannot sell below 100 Ghana and cover their basis. And so if the appreciation of the city is leading to a lower import cost in city terms for the importer of frozen chicken, what that means is that going forward, the importer of frozen chicken will be selling a kilo of a chicken at 25 Ghana cedis or 20 Ghana cedis. And what will be the stand of the local farmer producing chicken? And it applies in all other industries, right? And so if our importers are importing finished products, then the continuous appreciation of the cedi is not a good signal for exporters. Importers will gain, exporters will lose. If you look at the exchange, an exporter who was earning at the exchange 16 Ghana cedis for $1 and from exporting, now he's going to earn about 13 Ghana cedis. So all things being equal, if you look at it, if you look at the figures, the exporter will be losing out, while the importer, once they are able to retain a lot of the gain, the importer gains. And so I think I disagree with Doc with this argument, but the point I'm making is that it depends on what our importers are importing. If we focus on importing machinery and intermediate products to increase local production, then the continuous appreciation of the cedi will be very good for the economy, because we'll be able to produce at relatively lower cost, and that will also drive down local inflation. But if we continue importing finished products, then that is not too good for the economy, because local products will become uncompetitive on the market.
Very well. Let me ask you again, Doc. Future predictions of the direction of the cedi.
I think going forward now with the increased gold reserves in excess of 31 tons and the increased forex, government has the capacity to be able to sustain the gain. But in the long term, for us to be able to get a stable cedi, I think it's important that we change the structure of our economy to be able to add value to our raw material exports. If you look at our export commodities, gold, cocoa, and crude oil, in 2024, these three commodities accounted for 84.1% of our total export revenue. But unfortunately, we export all these commodities in raw form. If we're able to add value, for instance, we have some oil refinery, we can add value to our crude oil. If we're able to do that, then we reduce our import bill for refined petroleum products. Our oil stands at about refined crude here will be able to minimize the demand for forex for importation of refined petroleum products. If we're able to add value to our gold exports, we'll be able to maximize the returns from gold. And if we're able to process cocoa into cocoa paste, into Milo and other products, and export the processed products, we'll be able to enhance our earnings from our primary products, which are leading export commodities. And then also engage in import substitution industrialization. Make sure we produce a lot of the things that we need within. We are about 49% dependent when it comes to rice, for instance. Why can't we be 100% rice sufficient? We have the land. We have the land suitable for rice production. And so we can increase the production of rice to the point where we are able to feed ourselves and even export, to be able to cut back on the over $500 million that we are using to import rice every year. And so I think it is important that going forward, we change the structure of the economy to be able to cut back on imports. We shouldn't continue to be import dependent, 70% import dependent. That is not something that is sustainable in terms of maintaining the value of the cedi. We should cut imports down and rather encourage exports to make sure that we are raking in as much as possible, while also minimizing how much forex we spend for import. That would be the only way to maintain a stable currency in the long term.
Very well. Thank you. Dr. Joseph Obeng. Doc, why is it that it is always perceived that the local manufacturers or those who do the local production here do not have the capacity to produce to meet demands of the people? What is the challenge? What challenges do people face? I'm asking this in relation to your saying in your last statement that we should remain competitive in this global economy. So we need to leverage on technology. We need to leverage on innovation. What is the challenge that we are not able to produce to meet our demands?
Okay, so we cannot... Hello?
Yes, Doc, we can hear you.
Am I the one speaking?
Yes, Dr. Joseph Obeng, please go ahead.
We have to enhance on production. We have to be self-sufficient. I agree. We have to zero in on the areas that we have comparative advantage and deliberately support them so that we can be a hub of production of those items. That's the way forward. And everybody support that. But let me also say that why are we still buying from abroad? Because they have stable economies, their currencies are strong, and that it makes their goods very cheaper there. And that's why people go to the extent of even importing to come and compete with the ones that is being produced here. And that's why I was talking in the way that I was talking, that we refuse to know that the cost of production here is very high, and then when factors like the foreign exchange comes down, it leads to the benefit of the one who is producing to export. Let's take the chicken as for example. My brother, the doctor, used that. So let me use it. You know that the eggs that they bring to hatch, or even the chicken, the small chicken that they bring, they are all imported. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
And so if they are imported, all of them, the one that is supposed to be produced here is imported, all of them. And so if the exchange rate is low, for us to buy them at a cheaper price, then the farmer has gained a lot in his advantage. That the produce that turns out, because he was able to buy the chicken and at a lower price as a result of the reduction of the exchange rate, then he has a leverage to compete even with the imported one. So it goes both ways, that we have to look critically on that. Otherwise, we just say it, because if you say we have to depend on exports, and then we are not also creating the enabling environment for exporters, and we confuse it, that what we are doing rather promotes export, then we don't know what we are doing. Because the exporter will have to produce what he's going to export, isn't it?
Right.
Does he produce what he's going to export? I'm asking a question. At what cost? At what cost? The cost of production, the main factor of production is the exchange rate. When your city has become stronger, you are a very stable economy, and then your produce have become cheaper, then you can produce more, and then also sell it. And then the exporter will be encouraged, because at this time he can have access to markets in various countries because of competitiveness of the product.
Very well.
So let's think through how we can get our productivity high, and then the produce of it, or the outcome of our production, should also be competitive. And I believe the enabling environment is being created around this drop, the reduction of the forest, because it's also going to pull down inflation, and then also pull down the interest rate. These are the enabling environment that will help the importer and then the exporter. For us, the importer, we don't have any business to travel and bring goods if you have them abundant here. It will serve us well. But you see,
Doc, in a minute, yes, we need to check out.
The manufacturing sector depends on the vibrant distributing sector. And we serve as a vehicle. Manufacturing is not complete unless it reaches the final consumer, and we serve as a vehicle.
Thank you.
So the aspect of distribution is as important as manufacturing, and that it shouldn't be thrown away. So all that we have to do is to make sure that we have we enhance on our local productivity, so that we can have import substitution. Because if you have the availability of the goods, then the importers will look within and buy.
Thank you very much.
If you don't have, what happens is that we buy the ones available here, and then the shortfall of demand is what we go outside and bring.
Dr. Joseph Obeng. That was Dr. Joseph Obeng. He had strongly giving us this point. Doc, we just have 1 minute. Dr. Paul 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘, if you can give us a concluding remarks.
Okay, Gabriel, thank you very much. I think what Mr. Joseph should appreciate is that the macroeconomic environment are different. If you look at Africa, if you look at Europe, if you look at Northern America, they provide even subsidies for their families. I mean, looking at poultry, looking at even Syria, they provide subsidies for their families. And so there is no way the local farmer can compete with the farmer in Europe, in America, if he's not intentionally protected. And so beyond the recent gains or the appreciation of the cedi, I think government should intentionally protect some of the industries where we have comparative advantage, where we can be able to produce to be self-sustaining. Like chicken, for instance. I think we should impose tariffs on the frozen chicken to make sure that we raise the price to a level where the local farmer can compete. You have imported the day-old chicks. So with the appreciation of the cedi, it reduces the price. But your local production cost is so high. You are borrowing at 27 to 30%. The farmer in Europe is borrowing at about 5%. Can you compete?
No.
Your utility bills are so high, cost of feeding and everything. And so at the end of the day, there is no way the local farmer can compete with the farmer in Europe, the farmer in America, if he or she is not selectively protected. And that is what government should do. We cannot build an economy on imports. No. 𝗟𝗓𝗓 will be interested in imports because they are making a lot of gains from there. But going forward, I think as an economy, we should look at building local production, focusing on exports, and not to build an import-dependent economy. That will not help in ensuring the long-term stability of the city.
Very well. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. We've had a wonderful guest. You just heard Dr. Paul 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘, who is a lecturer of economics at the Pentecost University. We also heard the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, 𝗟𝗓𝗓, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Gentlemen, wonderfully espousing and fleshing out the conversation on the cedi's appreciation. We are glad you could join us. Please don't move too far from your set, because when it's 4 p.m., it's Brigades hour. Make sure you make time to join the Brigades hour, because it has wonderful package for you. My name is 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘. We are back on your screen on Friday. Goodbye.